Very good afternoon, my dear students. We are back with a session on Digital Marketing Framework 1. Before I move on to the Digital Marketing Framework and a discussion of how to go for strategy development in digital marketing, let me walk you through what we discussed in the previous session so that you will have an instant recall of what we have covered so far. Students, in the previous session, we discussed about digital consumer, who actually is a digital consumer, what are the characteristics of a digital consumer, and how he or she typically behaves. We also had an overview of the consumer funnel. In case of digital marketing, this funnel has one more A at the end, which is advocacy. So, the acronym AIDAA stands for awareness, interest, desire, action and advocacy. We also discussed about the Pirates model, which tends to be more effective when we talk about digital marketing, and discussed about the various stages of the Pirates model, including awareness, acquisition, activation, retention, revenue and referral. Towards the end of the session, we discussed about how we can provide an enhanced consumer value, which requires an effective mapping of the consumer problem with the value proposition that a digital marketer is providing. So, on the two sides, we have the buyer and the seller, and it is the compatibility of the mapping between the buy side and the sell side, that is the consumer and the marketer, that you are able to deliver value proposition to the digital consumer. In today's session, we are going to take this forward. Now, students, we understand that once a problem value mapping has been done, there is a lot of scope for the digital marketer to analyze the market in terms of the opportunities that lay for him or her to tap. This market opportunity analysis actually help a marketer in identifying a market segment which is ready to consume your product or service, and also helps you to understand or identify a viable revenue mode towards the adoption of these products and services. In this respect, we also see that the development of digital services become an important aspect to be explored. As products and services, they need to be oriented and they need to be developed from the point of view of the consumer, and at times from the scratch, that is from the beginning, so that you can align the entire market offering to suit the digital marketplace and also the consumer's consumption pattern. This may be applied, the entire context of digital marketing and the application of digital marketing. Students, we can see its application by the individuals, by small and medium businesses, and even by the large companies according to their needs and the end outcomes that they desire to achieve. For example, let us say that an individual wants to build his online catering business and therefore can use a digital platform to grow its online catering chain. A medium business owner may want to use the digital platforms to build a pan-India brand for ice creams, or a large brand or a large company may want to further strengthen or may further wants to position its brand more strongly, making use of the digital platforms. So, in a way we can say that the use of digital marketing has a lot of scope for everybody, be it an individual or a small businessman or a large company, and therefore for each one of these the application of digital strategies would include lot of things that needs to be done. Like for example, you may have to convert your present traditional products to the digital format. So obviously once you go from an offline to an online mode, from the traditional or the conventional methodology to the digital formats, the products also have to be aligned accordingly, or that may require you to look for the avenues to create new or digital or virtual avatars of present physical products, and many other ways in which you can align your digital products to suit the broader context in which you are operating and making use of the digital platforms. So, let us see that what can be the possible scenarios which are available for a consumer. The three possible scenarios that outline clearly the scope or the spectrum of activities that can be performed using digital marketing practices is: one, scenario 1, where we find the firms having a well established brand. Now, how they can use digital marketing, or how they can use a digital marketing framework, or in what way digital marketing would be applicable to them? One, they can extend their brand presence more strongly using the digital platforms. They can also make use of digital platforms to target new global audiences, because as we know that when you make use of digital marketing efforts or initiatives, you go beyond the boundaries and you can operate 24/7. That also helps the digital platforms, they also help you to increase your brand resonance with the consumer, because you are making use of more focused strategies and you understand your digital consumers well. In the second case, this can also be applied and this can also be used for the brands which are not that well established. So, they can still use digital platforms and digital marketing strategies to improve their presence, to reach out to the targeted segments in a more effective manner, and all this exercise is eventually going to improve their revenues. In the third case, digital marketing strategies can be developed for a new brand which further needs to be developed. Now, we can be looking at a new product altogether, or a new market altogether which needs to be developed, or a new brand which needs to be introduced in the market which already exists. So, you can use all these activities to introduce and develop your brand's presence in the market, develop, identify and explore what can be the possible audience groups that are there, and you can connect with them in the digital landscape more effectively to position and to have the presence of your new brand in the digital space. And you can also have a unique digital identity, that is digital first identity that you can create using the digital marketing efforts. Now, if we sum it up or try to understand it more broadly, we can say that for brands in scenario 1, digital strategy provides a good possibility to test the niche markets, the new markets for the premium products where the audience segments already exist, which probably it might not be able to do due to the high cost of traditional marketing channels. So, if you cannot work through the conventional channels because of the paucity of funds and because of the fact that the cost is usually going to be very high in those channels, you can effectively place the products and you can push the products by making use of digital strategies. For brands that lie in the scenario 2, the firms can make use of digital platforms to create a very strong identity of their own amongst the identified target groups, and can also take advantage of the digital partners and various channels to improve on their sales and also their online presence. As for the new brands, we have seen in scenario 3, developments usually we know students take lot of risk. And so, brands in this particular case can utilize their digital media to gather responses as to what kind of feedback they expect to the launches. They can introduce themselves in a better and effective manner. They can also get the feedback in advance and improvise the products accordingly before they make a final entry into the markets. However, irrespective of whether you are operating as a firm or an individual in case 1, 2 or 3, businesses need to have a proper structure, a proper guiding mechanism or a framework that can guide them and help them to map the processes and the progress of their digital entry and the digital entire framework, the value chain and all the activities which are involved therein. A very effective and a very useful framework in this regard is the ASCOR framework. Now, as the acronym suggests, ASCOR digital marketing framework consists of 5 different stages or 5 different phases of digital marketing, starting from assessment stage, strategy, communication and channel mix phase, operation phase and refinement phase. So, if you look closely, the acronym becomes ASCOR, A-S-C-O-R. Let us take these stages in detail one by one. Now, the first stage being the assessment phase, what are you going to assess in this phase? So, there are broadly 4 things that a digital marketer would have to take into consideration. It has to assess about 1, the internal analysis, external analysis, digital presence analysis and objective development and review phase. So, in all, assessment phase broadly entails an assessment of these 4 aspects. Let us now, students, take each one of these one by one in detail. What is internal analysis? Internal analysis involves an analysis of all those factors, all those aspects which are internal to a company. And so, being internal to the company, they are very much within the control of the organization, so that they can have an assessment of these factors and control these factors to influence their goal setting and also to create a successful and realistic objective for their digital marketing efforts. Now, when you talk about internal analysis, what all are you going to analyze? What all are the internal factors that are in your control? So, there are 4 such areas. 1, your offerings. 2nd, your marketing mix. 3rd, your resources. And 4th, your core competencies, that is your core strengths. Let us look at each of these aspects of the internal analysis. First, which is an offering mix. One has to understand what kind of offering are we making to a digital consumer, or what kind of offering a marketer is making in the digital space, in the digital market space. 1, you have to understand the fact that you are dealing with a virtual product. So, the product does not have those elements, or you cannot make the consumer understand those aspects of touch, feel, smell, which are very important in the offline platform, because here you are dealing with a product that has its virtual presence. You also have to understand students, that consumers in the digital platform are very different from what you come across in the offline platform. So, here you are dealing with different audience, and we have already seen that these audience group are, or they can be broadly be divided into 3 categories: youth, women and netizens. So, they live on and off the internet, they have a very strong presence over the net, they take active part in whatever they are doing or they are searching by way of sharing the post, liking the post, resharing it, reposting it, writing their comments on it and generating a lot of user generated content. We also see that lot of brand switching happens because the consumer is very much aware, the consumer is very much informed, and therefore would like to take the decisions and maybe switch from brand to brand depending on what kind of offerings suit his requirements or interest him. Also, there is lot of control of the intermediaries, because these are the intermediaries who are going to ensure that the product would reach to the hands of consumers. And the intermediaries are very different, the players are very different. Say for example, the logistic company who has to ensure that the products, once they are placed, the order is being placed in the digital platform, they are going to be delivered, and there is a shipping process which will be involved therein. The second aspect in your internal analysis as a digital marketer is an analysis of your marketing mix. So, when you talk about the digital marketing mix, it comprises of 8 P's, where 4 P's are the ones that you see in your conventional marketing system also, like product, place, price and promotion. In addition to these, we also deal with 3 other more important P's in the digital landscape, which is process, program and performance. This makes 7, and the 8th P that we are talking about, how we are taking care of the entire digital package. The resource mix comprises of the third area where internal analysis has to be exercised. Now, what are the various kind of resources that you find in your digital internal analysis? One is your human resources, people, partners, your intermediaries, and you can also club your partner and intermediaries, and you can consider them to be the a separate resource that you have. So, the human element which is involved over there. There is also an economic resource in the form of the funds, the access to finance, the access to the economic aspect of doing your business. And fourth, the technological advancement or the technological flows that are involved, or the technique that you are adopting, or the various kind of technological platforms, digital platforms which are going to ensure that you have a superiority over your competitors, which takes us to the fourth very important area of your internal analysis, that is your competency mix. You have lot of competencies, but amongst all these competencies, amongst all these strengths that you see in you as a digital marketer, which ones are the core competencies which are going to give you an edge over the other digital players? And you have to identify your core competencies across 2-3 relevant points, like are you relevant and are you making an effort to stay relevant with your digital consumers? Is your digital product also relevant amongst the audiences? How easy or how difficult it is for others to replicate or to copy your digital marketing strategy? And then what is the breadth and what is the spectrum of the digital marketing application that you have in terms of how you are reaching out to consumers and how you are applying the digital marketing strategies to your overall business proposition. Once you have done this internal analysis strongly, one has to move towards the second element of your assessment phase, which is your external analysis. Now, students, unlike the internal one, the external analysis is going to include the analysis or assessment of the macro and the micro environment of the business, which is largely external to it. Now, this micro and macro environment is going to include all the entities and factors, or maybe even the forces which are going to surround and influence the firm, its product, its operations, even the opportunities that you are going to find. Also, it includes an analysis of the market situation, a complete market analysis, including your competition analysis, how intense, how weak, how strong your competition is, and what is by and large the competitive intensity that you are facing or you are likely to face as a digital marketer. So, if we look at it, we have micro and macro environment, and these micro and macro environments can further be classified into various heads. Let us take first the micro environment, and what micro environment entails: all the activities and all the aspects which are going to affect a single unit or a single firm in the overall economy. Like, this is going to, your digital marketing efforts and aspects are going to affect the suppliers, partners, intermediaries and your own customers. This is not going to affect everybody across. Whereas, when you talk about the macro environment, they are the factors or the forces that are going to affect all the firms or all the industries as a whole. This largely comprises of, again, PEST. PEST is the acronym which stands for political aspects, economic, socio-cultural and technological aspects which a digital marketer has to deal with. Let us take each of the micro environmental elements first, starting with suppliers. Now, who all are the suppliers? The definition of suppliers in the digital context is very different from how we understand and how we define suppliers in the conventional format. Over a period of time, we see that the shift from the offline to online has really altered the way we look at the suppliers. Now, if the information becomes the final product or the service, then the nature of information aggregation, conversion, sales, it can be a simple process wherein a firm adds value in terms of not only enhancing or providing a structure to the supplier's content, but also sell it to a pre-built audience which exists online. So, the suppliers are providing you the content, and this content is being handled and is being, conveyed or is provided to the digital audience in an online platform or using an online digital platform. We also see, students, that the second aspect of the second element, so to say, of your micro environment play a very crucial role. This comprises of your partners. Now, typically we find that partners are the firms which tie up with each other. Nowadays, the nature of such tie-ups or nature of such partnerships have undergone a drastic change. It is not the production or the expertise in terms of delivery which is going to be shared amongst people who tie up together, but more often companies are coming together and they are co-creating. They may be co-creating at different levels. They may co-create their plans, they can make, they can co-create and jointly have their go-to-the-market strategy, and not only they share these kind of things like their planning or their production or their delivery expertise, but they also tie in and pool together the resources and also at times customer data, and such kind of sharing or such kind of partnerships are mutually beneficial to both the partners. The third aspect of your micro environmental element is intermediary. Now, who all are intermediaries? As I told you earlier in the beginning of this session, that intermediaries provide a lot of value addition in the digital marketing context. These are the firms which are autonomous, which run independently, but they provide lot of value differentiation. And because of the value addition that they are providing and value differentiation that they are providing at every stage, they help the firms in reducing their transaction cost. For example, your logistic companies that work for larger companies and conglomerates like Flipkart and Amazon. The fourth element in your microenvironment consumer students is consumer. Now, who are the customers? Obviously, they are the most crucial element of your microenvironment, and a digital marketer has to identify the right consumer segment to connect with. Once you identify and connect with the right consumer segments, you have to build your relationship, you have to interact with them, and you have to be aware as a digital marketer of the most effective touch points through which you can enhance your interactions with these consumers, because that is the key element of your firm's digital growth. These are the elements, students, that we have covered under the micro environment. That is the 4 elements. To give you a quick recall, the 4 elements being your suppliers, your partners, your intermediaries and your customers. This is where we put an end to this particular session, and in the next session I will be taking you through the various macro environmental factors which play a bearance of how a digital firm or how a firm in the digital platform is going to function. Thank you.